Valentine's Day tips to save your relationship for the years to come, even if you're not in a relationship. Today's episode is not about your financial wealth only, but about your wealth in general. And while we need this type of wealth all year round, why not use Valentine's Day as an excuse to get started with a new resolution? My guest today is Bart Miller, a very successful entrepreneur, a husband, and a father of 4 who also wears a hat as a life and relationship coach. Today we're going to talk about how to give a gift that transforms your relationship for the years to come. What are the similarities between financial management and relationship management, and how to not feel lonely on Valentine's Day no matter what your relationship status is? Because let's face it, some of us may be in relationships but feel lonelier than ever. Before we get started, please go down in the comment section, and I'm just curious to know, what was the worst gift you ever received on Valentine's Day? And what was the best gift you received ever? As we talk to Bart, you're going to understand why these were your best and worst gifts ever, and how to make everything in your life better. That rhymed. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my new YouTube channel and share these tips with anyone who needs to change their lives for the better. Let's go say hi to Bart. Welcome, Bart Miller. I'm super excited to have you on my show. This is something that we normally, it's different than what I normally do. And I wanted to give people like an idea why I'm having you as a guest, is because I had the privilege of meeting you in Nashville last week. And I had, like, we got to talking about women and moms, and you introduced me to your beautiful wife and like children. And I'm like, oh my God. And your background is completely different than what I normally do. But I was like, oh my God, we kind of have, there are some things that my people need to learn from you. And that's why we have you today. So before we get into the questions, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. So my background is I'm really a poor little farm boy. Living in Idaho, raised in Idaho, which sounds really, really crazy. But I grew up in Idaho. And if anybody out there knows a little town called Arco, Idaho, which really is a tiny, tiny little town, that's where I was born. And my mom and dad decided when I was younger that they did not love each other, so they got a divorce. And that really set me on a path of learning about relationships, and also set me on a path of, oh my gosh, I really need to do something different than what my parents did in my life financially and in relationship end of things. And I don't know why, but at a young age, I ended up running away, which was crazy, and ended up living with my grandma. And that was the best decision I could ever make, but I didn't know it at the time. I was honestly 10 years old, but that's what happened. And my grandma raised me. So I was able to learn so many amazing principles from such an older generation and bring them into this world of today. And what I really learned about in relationships is this: they're all based off, most of them, most of the problems that we have in relationships are based off of finance, which is something that you're amazing at, and sex, believe it or not, which is Valentine's Day is what we always kind of relate to. And the more that we understand those two things as humans, right? Just as humans, period, the more successful that we can be. And then in my studies, I really started to learn that there's two things when you start to run a business, not just your family life, but in business, and that is marketing and finance are what rule, right? Because if you can drive it and you can financially keep it sustainable, you can't stop any business. Really, that's the truth, right? And so then I also found out that if you don't have a great relationship, and I don't care if that's with your business partner or with your personal partner that you're married to, that also can destroy a business very, very quickly, and your empire. So those are the things I really started to learn. I've owned several companies, sold several companies, only been married once to an amazing wife. Yeah. And today is actually our anniversary, believe it or not, which is really, really cool.
God.
Yeah.
Happy
25
anniversary.
years, 4 kids, 3 kids out of the house, 1 kid still in the house. So life has been an adventure for me. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. So I don't know if that gives you a little bit about me, but there you go.
Well, one thing that you did not cover, and I really wanted to touch base on, is that you are fluent in Japanese.
そうですね。
そうですね。日本語喋りますよね。
そうですね. So that's something we both have in common, which is really like freaked us out when we were started talking and found this out. But I actually lived in Japan for 2 years of my life, and I was there as a missionary. So lived there, served a mission there, and loved every minute of it. Loved, like, can't even tell you how much I love that culture. Such amazing humans, and what an amazing language.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that totally freaked us out. So it kind of bonded us as well. So today I wanted to cover with you about some of the things that people can maybe use as go-to kind of framework with their relationship, especially now that Valentine's Day is around the corner, and maybe some people are trying to think of something to do just on Valentine's Day, but it's not just about Valentine's. It's like maybe this can be your New Year resolution kind of thing for your relationship. What is like one of the biggest tips that you give to anyone who's in any kind of relationship?
Yeah, so let's talk about that really quickly. I think it's an exciting thing to talk about. And the one thing I'm going to teach you, I think might be different than you think. And that is this. Actually, I'm going to give you a story. So one of my friends, I was teaching him this principle, and he was like not totally getting it. So I give him a story, and he did something that was amazing. So I'm going to tell his story. So what I taught him is don't give a gift that doesn't mean something. And that's like, everybody goes, well, I get that. That's easy. I mean, so simple. But this is what I said, I want you to really sit down and think about a gift that means something that only your companion would know that you knew would mean something. And he goes, okay. So we started going through a lot of questions, and we come to find out that his significant other never was able to go to their prom. So what he did was he went and rented a limousine. He went and bought 3 different dresses, put them on the bed. He went and got all of his friends organized to be able to throw a prom for her. And then she came home, got on his knee, asked her to prom, had the corsages ready, told her there were dresses in the other room to go change. She instantly went and changed. He had a stylist there to get the hair done, the makeup done, gave her 2 hours to be ready to go, walked out, got in a limousine, showed up at the church that he had decorated, and took her to her first prom with all of her friends. Now, think about that as a gift. Will she ever forget that experience in her life? Now, that's a big gift. Let's be clear. I'm not saying you have to be that dramatic, right? I mean, we're not all going to be, have something like that. But think about the gift. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. And that's why I give you such a big example is that gift will impact that relationship forever. Forever. Now, our tendency is that we think about simple things of, okay, whatever our love language is probably the kind of gift we're going to give. We don't even understand the love language of our significant other. So therefore, how can we gift in their love language, right? We don't go that far, let alone think about the impactfulness of the gift we're giving and if it's going to keep on giving. But hey, Valentine's Day, why not impact our most important person in our life if we can't the right way? So there's my tip. Do something up and beyond just buying flowers.
Oh my God. Now I have to go rethink my my gift. I got my gift yesterday already at CVS.
Oh, there you go.
It's actually meaningful. It's kind of meaningful.
Good. That's awesome. Anyway, I hope that helps some of you out there.
And this goes both ways for women and men.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it, right? I mean, we're all humans. And if in my consulting work and the things I talk about the most, I'll tell you this woman had the most impact in this saying on my entire career. And I love her for it. And, I'll just tell it to you. It was Mary Kay Ash. And it says, she said, every woman has a little sign around their neck, or human for that matter, that says, make me feel important. And if you understand that right there, you can change the world. And I believe that. And I believe that is exactly what you do. I mean, you are trying to impact the world by making women empowered, feel more important in their relationships, in their investing, and what they stand for. So many amazing principles. And that's what we all got to do. That's what our life is about. And at this Valentine's Day, come on, our most important people are the people that we're spending that close time with, and sometimes sleeping in the same bed with. But if we're not making them feel important, we're making a mistake.
So you made a point about, finances. And before we were talking about, you mentioned that actually there are similarities between financial management and relationship management.
So much.
And I was like, what? So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So really interesting. I find a lot of couples or people who are just starting out relationships run their relationship like they run their finances. So they're swiping the credit card, and that means just for a quick hit, they want it, but they don't worry about the consequence that it's going to cost them in the future, right? It's like buy now, pay later. Well, I want you to think about what that does. And I know it's kind of a crazy thought process, but what if you think about it like your bigger investment and bank account, right? We really start to say, okay, here's my banking. And when I put money in, if it creates some interest or some goodwill, eventually we know we may have to take some out, right? No matter what financial scenario we go to, even if I'm looking for a retirement, I'm trying to put as much away as I possibly can. But if there's a rainy day, which in all relationships, I've never been in a relationship or seen a relationship, right? But there's not a little bit of a rainy day. But if you have that goodwill there, does it consume everything? It doesn't. It gives you that buffer that you've invested, and you can take some back out and say, you know what? Please forgive me. I screwed up. And or you have that. And the same goes for you. You're hoping that people are building an amazing bank account with you and investing in that, right? As true friends, as true this, that, the other, to where if they need to take out and they make a mistake, you're able to say, oh my gosh, look at all the amazing things that they've done. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to be frustrated over this, right? And I mean, you teach so many principles on this that you could take this a million different directions. I know.
I'm like, my brain right now is like, oh my God, crazy. Make your money work for you, make your relationship work for you. Like all these things is just coming to my mind.
Is that true though? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, and then think about this even a step further. We just said the two things that destroy relationships are finance and sex, right? So if you're actually doing your principles and you think about what you're investing in that, plus you're making your financial end of your relationship secure, mind-blowing what you can do in a relationship. But
right. And I feel like one thing that you did mention before, and when you say sex, like intimacy part of sex is like, what is, I just wanted to clear that out.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Not just like, hey, go have sex.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And I mean, and if you do, that's like the credit card, right?
Right.
Example of a relationship. That's most definitely sex relates back to a relationship and an intimacy part of that connection for sure. So
right. Nuggets of wisdom. So now I know that a lot of our audience are in relationships, but many of them aren't. And there is no way not to feel depressed and lonely on Valentine's Day. I've been there. And sometimes like you're even fighting with your significant other on Valentine's Day, which is even crazier. So do you have any remedies for people who are feeling depressed on Valentine's Day?
This is so tough. And I don't think in our lives, any of us have not faced that day. And it doesn't just have to be Valentine's Day. And if you can hear that noise in the back, I'm so sorry. My dog drinks like so loud. Apologize. But anyway, he's part of the family, so he gets to be part of it. So let's go back to the topic. But Valentine's Day and feeling lonely and so the number one thing that I want you to think about during Valentine's Day, if you're by yourself, number one, don't stay by yourself. Worst thing you could possibly do. Go find somebody else. This is the number one tip I get. There's other people that are just like you. Go find them and become their best friend on Valentine's Day. Go do something. Enjoy the day. Go attend something with them. Be part of what they're doing because they're going to have fun on Valentine's Day, which is going to lift your spirit. The last thing you want to do is have a pity party just because you can. Right? Because we all do. Let's be clear. Like we start thinking about, oh, I wish so-and-so, or I'm in a fight over this, or I'm this or that or the other. And that just takes us down the wrong path. In a relationship, the last thing you want to do is start to beat yourself up so that you're actually getting more negative than you are getting positive, right? So with the number one thing you can do, in my opinion, is go surround yourself with humans that are in the same scenario, but not having a pity party, and say, let's go have fun together. Let's go make this Valentine's Day fun for us. Today, let's go do something fun.
Right. And that doesn't include your ex who completely screwed you over. I just wanted to have a disclaimer over there. Don't call up your ex.
Right? Seriously. So, yeah. And I mean, once again, there's always emotions that come around these type of things and relationships. But remember, today is today. The day's over in one day. Like literally it's over, it's done with, you're on to the next day. You know, it's funny how we base all this emotion off of one single day to turn around the next day and not even be worried about it because we're upward and onward. So don't get caught up in one day of your life. Just remember that, you know, next year, it could be a totally different year for you, which it will be. So think about the positive, find somebody else, go out there, do something fun and enjoy it. That's what you can do. Like there's always somebody you love around you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like I feel like you got to be in that state of mind, and it's just super true. And I know that sometimes it's hard to do it on your own,
Yeah.
and that's why you do what you do, which is coaching people.
Yeah.
So can you, and I've actually looked at it, Couples on Fire. So
Yeah.
I'm giving a lot of my secrets away right now.
Yeah.
So how do you help couples and relationships?
Yeah. My biggest thing is that I love couples that are already not having necessarily issues in the relationship. That's not what I that's probably, I shouldn't say my least favorite, but I feel for them, right? When they're already down this path. But I love people that are like, okay, once in a while we're doing this. We're not always jiving on anything. How do we really go and light our spark like we had it when we were first married, right? And yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. You can't believe you're so excited. But anyway, go back to that and then turn around and grow so that we're at this level of like craziness, right? About each other, because that's ultimately what we want. But my favorite thing in doing that is just teaching people that is, first of all, it's possible. Now, that doesn't mean you're never going to have another fight again in your life. Let's be honest with each other. But it gives you tools that when you do have those different types of fights, that you're able to combat them. But also the biggest thing for me is that is just one of our little pillars. I really talk about fitness a lot in our group. You know, once you're in my upper end group, we talk about finance, which is right up your alley. We talk about finance, fitness, faith, and family. Those are the main things and the principles that I love to talk about. Any one of those categories are what I feel like I can show you of 25 years of marriage. I can show you of, you know, doing bodybuilding competitions to cycling for years in the fitness world, of how to achieve big goals, how to work together with your significant other, because this is something that's really cool that I want you to think about. If you look at couples today, right? Take couples. Who in internet marketing right now, in our space, what I call internet marketing, who are the top leaders? They're couples. Go take the real estate space.
Yeah.
Take any one of the real estate categories. Who are the leaders? Couples. Go take network marketing, huge group of people. Go look at all those companies. Who are the top of all those companies? Couples. It's couples who are yoked together like two oxen pulling in a direction of unity. And all of a sudden, they conquer the world. Why? Johnny, because you've got somebody to lean on. It's just like you said, when crap hits the fan, which you know it's going to, and it does, there's nothing better than somebody that can sit there that understands your true intent and your true heart, that loves you and says, it's going to be okay.
Right. And that's actually absolutely fascinating, because I've seen even in my group with investments, and I have a huge group of, moms and, before I wasn't focusing really, but I have a huge group, but the ones who are actually doing the homeworks and doing the exercise and actually making it happen are the ones who are doing it together. Right. The husband and wife, they're actually going through my course and they're studying it together, and it's some sort of trust. And now they know, like, okay, what's happening. And they, even with my relationship with my husband, I always kind of make fun of him. It's like, oh my God, he's super risky. But his risk appetite kind of balances my risk averseness. And we really totally bounce off. I mean, I am managing the investment portfolio, but I do bounce it off. And it actually helps me become a better investor. So I totally agree that in every category, if you find somebody that you can lean on, that's
so awesome. And I think that as we do that, this is the interesting part in all of the things that we do. It's so much funner when you're sitting at dinner if they understand a little bit about what we're talking about. Not that they should consume us, but it doesn't, and that's the other thing that I try to teach couples is, it doesn't mean that we have to be in the exact same business, right? But if we understand each other's businesses enough enough. Just like you said, he doesn't have to run the day-to-day investment. He doesn't have to do all those things, but it's super cool to be able to say certain things and be able to talk in certain languages and say, this is what's going on. And that significant other looks at you and goes, totally get it.
Right.
You're
No, I mean,
awesome.
sometimes I get a text from him. It's like, hey, look at this stock. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Right.
Like it completely like, it's totally awesome. And one last thing, and I know we kind of drifted to the couple thing, but I know we did talk about not feeling lonely in Valentine's Day. And I know that your coaching, your challenge that you just put up, you were telling me that you can even take it if you're like on your own, like even if your significant other doesn't join, right?
Yeah, and the reason is that now let me tell you, there's two things in there that are very couple oriented. So you'd want somebody you could talk to, but the principles really go to any type of relationship. I've had people use these tools with their kids. I've had them use them with their business partners, and I've actually had them use them more so, believe it or not, with their parents. I find that a lot of humans struggle with their parents. Like, it is crazy. Once they get in the course and they start working on their relationship, they all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, if I could just fix my relationship with my mom or with my dad, how amazing would that really be? And they start using these principles there, which is crazy, more than they actually use them on their significant other, because it's a relationship that means so much to them that they feel like they've lost out on. So if you're going to take it and you're on your own, remember, we're very couple dominant. I'm not going to lie. It's very couple. But the principles, so like in this challenge right now, I know of 10 people, but I'm very clear with them on, you're probably going to take two things from this, right now today. But those two things will really affect your external, like your family, this type of stuff that you can use those in. But once you get into my other stuff, then there's all sorts of things for you, right? But ideally, if I pick my exact target, let's be very clear, it's couples and where they're at today, because that's what we talk about. That's what I love. I love to see that you and your husband work together. That's what makes me so excited for you. I love seeing your little one, and that you have her part of everything that you're doing as far as your TikToks go, and that. And family's part of your, really though, it's
a part of my
your
TikToks
life,
right now.
right? And so that makes it exciting, because that's what I feel like we're really here trying to do, and trying to take it. And when we want to build that. So I think it's every mom's dream, if you can't, or dad's dream, to be as much a part of our kids' lives as we possibly can. And that's what you're trying to teach, is that financial freedom, so that they can have that opportunity to be able to not miss the basketball game, the ballet, the whatever it is, and still be fulfilled in their marriage. So anyway.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Bart, for joining us today. People watching at home, don't forget to comment. Tell us what you took away out of this awesome conversation and what you're going to do for Valentine's Day. I can't wait to hear it.
Can't wait to hear myself. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor being on here.
It's my tradition. All our guests make a silly face.
A silly face?
Yes, make it good.
Wow. Let me think. What could I do for a silly face? All right, ready?